Hey guys, Andy N, spoken label back in the house. It's a summer's afternoon today. It's gorgeous. I've sat in our little study at the moment, and it's really, really warm. But podcast day today, and I've got a friend with me today as well. This lady has been gracing on a stage at Speakeasy now for this year, certainly. And I think, she's sticking four things in a full month. It means 5 months.
4 months, 4 months,
4 months,
5 months.
4 months, yeah. People that I've guessed, we wrote to the wonderful word, the Levenshulme today. But yeah, the lady who've got with some Levenshulme isn't obviously the accent isn't a local to Levenshulme originally, but we'll come on to that in a minute. We've got the amazing and fantastic Heather Skowood with us today. Now, Heather, obviously, for people that don't know you and what we're going to talk about in Levenshulme, if everyone's in Levenshulme today listening, they will know you, I suspect, anyway. But let's let people catch up. Tell people obviously where your creativity came from originally. We'll start from there.
Well, I thank you, Andy, for inviting me on. I'm excited to be here today with you. So yeah, I'm Heather Skowood. I'm an artist and mother and writer. I've always been in the creative areas all my life. Yeah, I'm originally from Philly. Now I've been in Manchester the last 20 years. I've been in Levenshulme for 11. My daughter was born here.
Wow.
Yeah, and I love it. I love Levenshulme. Everybody here knows I love Levenshulme. It's amazing. It's a great neighborhood.
Yeah, I like going up there as well because obviously people are wondering. I tend to use go to Levy or the Levenshulme you call it when see a mutual friend of ours, Ruth O'Reilly, who has had you on her show recently as well. So we love Ruth. So now, obviously, I want to learn first of all about you. Take us all the way back to when your creativity started. Did this first start when you lived in Philadelphia, or did it blow up more when you came to England?
You know what? It goes right back to when I was a kid. I've always been writing and drawing all of my life. And then as I got older and, the question comes, are you going to go to university? I was like, I want to go to art school. But I was always drawing and writing as a kid. And I had my first introduction to poetry was when I was probably about 10 at school. Feel like we did like half a year on it. Our teacher introduced us to so many great American poets. And it was kind of like there was kind of like a project going on. Like I had built like a portfolio of writers that we'd read, and we tried to write our own poetry, and we had to like create like an actual like portfolio to put everything in. So there was like an art aspect. She did this really great combination of the two, and that just blew my mind. It was really cool. It made a really big impact, and I've been writing and making art ever since. But my writing, I never shared with anyone. Like maybe the occasional people would get it as a present or a gift, but I was always happy to share my 3D art adventures because I'm a trained goldsmith. I've done festival decor and workshops with people of making all kinds of things over the years, but those two were always separate. I think I did a poetry reading and won a competition when I was like 16, and then never shared another word ever with anyone. It was always something I just did with my sketching. It's always in my sketchbook. It was always there, but I never thought about sharing it. And it wasn't until a year ago, this spring, that I was like, I want to go up and read. So I started. And so it's been an amazing, crazy journey.
Yeah, I think it's when you get into this sort of thing, it's a real bug that bites you sometimes. It doesn't let you go. It's like I don't think your Speakeasy was the first one you read at, but I know you've been coming to us monthly now. You said it for nearly every month now. Certainly this year, and possibly back end of last year as well.
Absolutely.
It's been a pleasure having you on every year. It has. Now I know, obviously, you just don't do poetry because I know you're responsible for the West Point Lantern Parade and done it every Halloween in Levenshulme, aren't you? This sounds amazing, and we're trying to get down to this one this year, me and Amanda, because it sounds fascinating. But tell us about that then.
You have to come. You have to come. It's my love letter to my neighborhood. it started, yeah, my daughter, we moved into our house in Levenshulme 11 years ago, 2 weeks before my daughter was born. My daughter was born planned in, but she was born in our kitchen. Really lovely. And I just love this neighborhood. I've met so many amazing people. And so my, I need projects. I need to make something happen. And this grew out of the fact that I'm American. I love Halloween. I love dressing up. I've been to Mardi Gras in New Orleans like 5 times. These are, it's a big part of who I am. I love dressing up and celebrating, and I love Halloween, obviously. So, and there just wasn't enough candy going around this neighborhood. I was like, I've got kids to feed candy to. I can't accept just going out and getting and I'm grateful. We were grateful. And the kids were like, I got 10 pieces of candy. And I was like, we got pillowcases of candy when I was a kid. We need to we're going to throw our own party. We're going to invite everybody to the park and we're going to give out tons of candy. And it started with 12 white paper bags with sand and candles in them lining the paths. And happened to be another American that was living on my street at that time. She lived there for 1 year. She made some Nightmare Before Christmas type style sculptures, and we hung them in the center tree. That was it. And maybe 25 people hit up. That was really good. And that now we're 9 years later, it gets bigger and bigger. We get to do more and more. The council and our counselors, our Levenshulme counselors, actually the Rusholme counselors, sorry, because we are right on the border. I say I'm from Levy because we're right on the border, but technically political lines were in Rusholme. So I thank the Rusholme counselors. They're amazing. They give us money every year. So now we've got a 30-head samba band. Batala Manchester comes and they bring their drums and they play a few sets during the event. We make sculptures and hang them in the trees. We've got kind of wearable light up costumes people wear and dance around all night. We give out free. It's completely free. I refuse to charge anybody for it. Like I said, it's my love letter to Levenshulme. So give out candy, hot drinks. We've got a samba band, circus house. They're performance center in Longsight. They teach people circus skills. Their youth group comes and they do an LED juggling performance. Everybody comes dressed up. It's amazing. It's so much fun.
We're definitely going to make an effort to get on this year, I'll tell you that now. So weather permitting, so definitely that one. So I hadn't heard of it before Ruth brought it up on a radio program recently. So I thought I've got to ask you about that first of all. Now, obviously, it's not just lanterns you make in your poetry and your journaling. I know you've got a website out there and your jewellery, haven't you? So where did your jewellery come from originally then? And how's that changed over time?
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know, I guess my mom always had a jewelry box. She didn't wear a lot of jewelry, but I used to go digging through it. You know how you dig through your parents' stuff when you're a kid. Loved all the little drawers. And I don't know, I actually was really fortunate. I didn't go to a very fancy school, but somehow we had a jewelry department at my school. And, it was pretty much like a propane torch and a soldering board. It wasn't fancy or anything, but I did some enameling and fusing glass on metal and made a sterling silver bracelet and actually, just actually pops in my mind. That was in a competition and won a prize on that. That was really cool. And then when I went to art school, I was just this is what I want to do. I want to bang metal. I did 6-foot sculptures. I was welding in the welding studio and then did really scaled down pieces of jewelry, not really, that were kind of wearable sculptures. I was working with metal and silver together. And then I guess when I left uni, I was well, I could definitely still use these skills for a job. So there's a jewelry district in Philadelphia called Jewelers Row. And I just went down there, knocked on doors and begged for somebody for a job. So I worked for an actual goldsmith for many years, and really learned the trade. And then had my own business for a long time as well. I exhibited internationally all around the UK, back in the States, in Barcelona. So I've had a very, very, very like a varied career in metal work for a very long time. And yeah, I haven't done it in a long time now. It's been because I actually stopped. I actually stopped making jewelry. Because I home educate 2 children with my partner. So that kind of took a back seat. And then when that took a back seat, my work changed and I started getting more into community arts and started going back into teaching. And then that led into the Lantern Parade, and that's gotten me other work. So I don't do fine goldsmithing as much anymore, but that was kind of my journey with that.
I'm always of the opinion with art anyway, it's not creativity. Everything moves along naturally anyway, doesn't it, in a progressive way, whether it's an accident or not is the case. Yeah. So I know your poetry, because I know it's like you've told it already, it's only just started coming up again in the past year or so, the performance space. So, and I read it, I heard it somewhere, obviously, like there was a specific reason, wasn't it, it made you want to start performing it. Do you want to tell us about that next then? I'm going to let you say it, not me.
Yeah, thank you. Sobriety. I was struggling with my mental health. I was drinking a lot and had to stop. So I took a few months off, and during that time was writing again a lot, journaling, and then poetry started to come out, mostly just journaling. And then I wrote this, one of my sobriety coaches was like, just as an exercise, write a breakup letter with alcohol, with your booze. And I was like, oh, this is gonna be fucking good.
It's a good idea. It's a good idea. Straight
like,
away, yeah.
a breakup letter. So that it came all out, like, hardcore. It was really a good piece. And a lot of people responded to it. And I saw, like, it wasn't something I would have, my traditional, not that I have a traditional way of writing, but it wasn't a work of poetry to me. It was just an exercise, but it was I was like, wow, this is powerful. A lot of people have responded to this, and it was a really nice way to connect with people.
Yeah.
And do something else that wasn't alcohol related. So it's been such a great journey. Like, not that my other artwork was connected to my alcohol, but like this was a direct creative act that like keeps me sober and gets me out with people in pubs, even, like, or wherever the open mics are happening. But I don't need to drink. I don't want to drink. And I'm meeting other people under those circumstances. So it's been a really, really profound journey the last year with poetry and writing and my mental health. It's been really, really cool.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is with poetry as well. It comes from trauma, and then it often can lead in a different direction. So, because I've been writing since I was 10, really. But my big trauma was when I became diabetic when I was 39, because I'd been like writing for performing for a couple of years before that, not really seriously. But that seemed to focus
Right.
me in a different way. And I think that's what's happened to you here as well, what I understand as well. And have you found this approach to your approach has changed since you started performing it?
I'm sorry, say it again.
Since you've started performing your poetry more regularly, has
Yeah.
the work that's been coming out now been changing in direction because you've been to nights and seeing what other people do and stuff like that?
I haven't seen any like profound changes, like big turns or anything, but it does going out and talking to other writers who are even have been doing it longer, who have more experience, or people even me that are on the same level as I am. It's just really encouraging. There's a lot of connection there. And what it does makes me want to be a better writer. So like my writing hasn't really, I don't think it's changed, like the how I write, but I probably haven't changed much how I write because I've never actually really shared it with anybody. But I am going out now on nights and going, damn, I love that rhyme. Like, I love hip hop. I love lyrics of songs. I've been obsessed with lyrics of songs all my life. Tom Waits, oh my God, like the most poetic musician on the planet. Like, he is a hero. He's
Unbelievable,
a
yeah.
hero. So I do, like, like, I don't know if I'm ever going to write a song. I like the idea of it. I would love it, but I don't know if it's going to happen. But it's just, I'm being encouraged and inspired by a lot of people on the Manchester scene who are doing all kinds of things, and who are, no matter what their level they're at or whatever I perceive, like, oh my God, they're too hot. Like, they're so amazing. Like, I, even when I talk to them, they're like, yeah, fuck, I'm human. I get nervous, or I go through the same thing. I can't write for weeks or months at a time. It just happens. It's just the creative process. And I love that honesty. There's not like, there's you can see people are a little bit, I don't mean competitive in a negative way, but there's competition. Everybody wants to, everybody wants to be good. Everybody wants to be have something strong to say, but everybody's so naturally, so far that I've met, have just been so encouraging and so lovely and just really down to earth with it. Cause I think, and maybe that's because with poetry, like, we're all going up there, and you're just like, you're laying your heart out on, you're like, here, take a look.
Great.
And nobody's going to smack your heart out of your hand unless they're an absolute, like, really shithead.
Yeah, I know a few of them. There's a lot. I'm not naming names there. So, Brand, yeah, I know what you mean with it. Yeah, oh God, you completely do. Well, like I said, Manchester does have this really supportive community environment about it as well, and I think it's at the best it's ever been at the minute, don't you?
Oh, nice.
I know that I've been there for some years. Yeah, no, I agree completely with that. So I definitely agree with that one. Now, I want to ask you as well, because I noticed as well on your website before, and I don't know whether this is still going as well. You were were doing a West Point zine at the moment at one point.
Oh, I know. I was making a zine. This was last year. This is a funny story. So I made like I did it for like 4 months. And then I let it drop. Sometimes this happens. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna do this thing, and I get really intense and do it. Somebody that I know in the home ed community had an industrial printer, and they were literally giving it away for free, like an office size printer, like a stupidly big size industrial office printer. And it was free. And I was like, I cannot, being an artist who collects objects I love putting found objects together into sculptures or jewelry. Anything that's free, yep, I'll take it. Yeah, bring it to me. So bless, my partner is like so patient with me. He's like, you want to bring a what? Like a whole, like a big, an office printer. And I did this, so I made zines for a few months. And I worked with, actually, there was this guy, the first zine I did on my own, and then the second and third ones I made with this local guy in Levenshulme. I never met him, and I think he was definitely younger than me. He wrote these really, really dark poems, essays, like really dark, and I'm down with it. I love dark, and they were really interesting. And he did drawings. So I was just like, we'll make a couple of issues. Like, I'll make an issue with you. Like, we'll use your artwork and put your poetry in. I'm trying to think of what the other ones were. But yeah, I love zines. We mentioned earlier before we started about like pen pals when in the 90s, like the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, I used to have these do you ever get these FB books included in the letters of friends, sometimes people's names and addresses?
Yes. And all your favorite bands. So like they were like little advertisements, right? Of like other people who were looking for pen pals. And you'd like decorate the outside of the envelope and the backside, and like writing poetry on it and decorating it with all these drawings. It was I always wondered what the post office thought. They must have been like seeing like all these boring letters come through, and then what the hell is this?
Yeah, my mum and dad got a letter come through for me last year. They did from one of these FB books, and the last time I did one of them was 25 years ago.
Yeah, I think it's longer for me.
Yeah, it was just absolutely. It's people wondering, like, Facebook gets a bit surreal nowadays. What you think back when we used to get these FBs, you never know what you're going to get sometimes. Did you want to?
They were so cool, right? They were, and then you're like, you just based on that, you're like, just their little drawing or like the bands that they list or the books that they read, you're like, oh, I'll write that person and see what they're like. And and then
Yeah.
add your little page and pass it on. It was so cool.
It was just, I think it just shows you. I think nowadays, like I was talking to my sister about it. I thought my sister would be keen on my nephew doing that sort of thing because there's so many. The world's different to what it was back then, isn't it? Really.
Oh
So
gosh.
yeah, it's just a very different place. But anyway, listen, we're digressing anyway completely of it. So I want to learn more anyway. Also today as well, referring back to my carefully organised notes, definitely. So
Aw,
yeah,
you're being
I want to know a little bit more about your love of Tom Waits then, because I know I've got 4 Tom Waits albums. Are you a early Tom Waits fan, a middle of the road Tom Waits fan,
all
or a
of it.
later? Oh,
From the start to the present. I just absolutely adore him. I love him as an artist, as a writer, as a performer, a character. You know, he has built so many, of characters over the years. He's just an all-around amazing
yeah,
otherworldly human being. I don't know. He's just, I love him. And I do love that, he's so nostalgic. And you can't, I mean, even when I was 17, I was nostalgic old person. So it's just like he's always just he's amazing. And I've loved him like in films as well, like Jim Jarmusch's Down by Law. Have you ever seen that?
yeah, I have.
I watched
Yeah,
it like so many times, stupid
it's
times, like so many
fascinating.
times.
It's fast. I do like him. I do like him when he comes cameos in films because he's
Mm.
one of these sort of people. He comes along and plays just the same role every time, and but he still people seem to love having him on. Yeah. Oh God, yeah. I'm trying to put my favorite albums of his on because I've got the first couple of albums. I do really like them, but probably mine's Frank's Wild Years. I do love Frank's Wild Years.
Oh, it is a classic. Yeah, it's really
And
classic.
then I forgot the one after. It's Swords. What, I forgot.
Swordfish Trombones.
That was, I think that was the one where we recorded it in a shed or something, if my memory is correct. He
Yeah,
did.
yeah. There's like he's playing the saw, like a wood saw. He's playing
Mm,
all kinds of lots of homemade instruments. I think a lot of that is come up, especially from that album onwards. Like Bone Machine.
yeah.
Um,
Oh,
that's really dark and just like, yeah, just banging on. I could just see him like banging, like having a pot on his head and just like
yeah.
banging it with a sledgehammer, like dong, dong, dong.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Completely. That's what I guess I could see it in your work, John, because after listening to Roof's Radio Program, which you were on a couple months ago, and I played it back on the phone. And I thought, oh, hang on, I can see the Tom Waits influence here again. And I always wondered about it, but now it confirmed it. But you're your own person anyway with it. So, but do you have any sort of
But yeah,
ideas where you'd like your creativity to lead you next? Then?
that's interesting. I have no idea where I don't usually, I like to kind of fly by the seat of my pants and just see what flows and go with it. Right now, so I don't know. I'm going to continue with the writing. I'm trying to take it seriously. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I'm just going to keep writing and I'm going to keep doing open mics because I'm enjoying it. I love going out and meeting new people. I love listening to people's words, them reading their words or performing their words. I am starting to think about jewelry again though a little bit. I mean, I've been continuing to make it. I've been making stuff with found objects. Last autumn I was really into like putting bones together with my
Mm,
jewelry at the moment. I'm still doing that. I buy them, sometimes friends gift them to me, find roadkill and bury it for me, and then bring me all these clean bones. They're like, you want to make something? But I just
brilliant.
bought myself an enameling kiln, so I'm thinking now I'm like gonna get back into like banging some metal and forming it and doing some enameling, which is just like a complete full circle. That's what started. I think that's one of my first jewelry projects was enameling. And then I never did it for years. And then just recently I was like, I got reintroduced back to it. And I was like, oh, now's the time. And I think that's it. Like there's always a time. I think you just said that a little while. It's like a kind of like a natural progression or a journey. And things just like strike you like, oh, okay, this seems right. I'm going to run with this.
Yeah,
Um,
agree with you completely. Yeah, I can see you do a lot of the time when I've had fell in and out of love with poetry a couple of times over the years, and already I've done my first novel, and I thought that was it, and I've kind of sneaking out my 11th poetry book, my new poetry book at the moment, which is hard. Well, third done down already, and that was a complete accident.
wow.
Complete accident. It wasn't planned. And it's just a case of I start accidentally writing one or two things. You do the same to jewellery, everything. Sometimes it's easier just to sink back into what you've done before, but do it with a different perspective, isn't it? Really, so that's what I mean. Like, do you still do your journaling nowadays, or is that less so at the moment?
No, I still, you know what? That's the funny thing. Poetry and journaling has always been a constant. Well, I mean, so's my making, but yeah, I can't stop writing. I'm an outward thinker. I do try to keep it in my head, but usually I got to say it out loud to understand it, or even for myself. So even if I can't say it to somebody else and I got to write it down and just to get it out of my head, and
Yeah.
you know, you got to clear it out sometimes.
Yeah, I do. It's like just clearing all the fog out your brain sometimes. A good old fashioned
Yeah,
rant does it.
exactly.
I'm like that frequently in my writing, and I'll tell you what I ended up writing this morning off air. I'm not going to talk what I don't want people knowing what I just wrote this morning. So not yet, anyway. So, but yeah, no, good luck with future straight with that happen. So, okay,
Yeah.
let's do the hard sell then. I always like the hard sell. Where can people find you online then? Because I know you've got a couple of Instagram pages, haven't you?
Yeah, I do. So I have that's how I'm mostly showing my work. I know I do have my website, but I was like, oh shoot, what's on my website when you mentioned it? So I use Instagram. So it's Heather Skowood Designs on Instagram, which is all of my creative stuff. And most of it is artwork. There's a few videos of poetry stuff, but I mostly just kind of do that live and just leave it at that. I share information about where I'm going to do an open mic night just to get friends and stuff involved. And then the West Point Lantern Parade MCR for Manchester. That is my other Instagram page that keeps everybody up to date what's going on with that project.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Okay. Well, good luck future with that, Heather. But I'll say people would hang around because Heather's going to delight us all in a few minutes with some of her poetry. See you all. 2 shakes of the dice.